What's going to happen with genetic engineering and designer babies? Quite a lot, actually. So let's dive in. A lot of people get scared about this issue. Quite contentious, unfortunately, but I hope you'll feel good about it at the end of this conversation. Basket one of things that are going to happen is the emergency basket. In the 2020s, you're just uncovering the ability to change genes, you're starting to use it to adjust human conditions in adulthood, and to adjust embryos that are likely to face life-threatening circumstances. By the end of the 2020s, this is going to be fairly widespread and fairly safe, but it's still going to be emergencies only. It's going to just be for major problems that you could see cropping up in an embryo's lifetime. And it's not going to be widespread for adult use, except, again, in extreme circumstances that are highly targetable with narrow genetic technology. Then in the 30s, that toolkit's going to expand, so you're going to be able to adjust more things and more complex things, and you're going to start wondering if maybe you could do even better with these babies and maybe knock them up a nudge, and that will take you from the emergency paradigm into the upgrade paradigm, and that's the second major and really by far the most contentious part of the genetic modification whirlwind. This is a multi-decade section, so it's like roughly 40s, 50s, 60s, say, and it's going to break down like this. First, it will become possible to upgrade embryos. People will learn how to do it, and some places will find this really noxious and ban it outright. Other places will say people have kind of a right to do whatever they want, and if the science allows this possibility, then who are we to say no to their tourist dollars and hospital stays? And people will flock to these places to get their babies a better chance, not just at fighting life-threatening diseases, but, upgrading, basically, their bodies. I mean, there's no other real way to say it. It's kind of dancy subject because some of these upgrades are going to include like real touchy human qualities like intelligence or height or skin color or strength or land speed. We're not at the fancy weird stuff like the wings yet. We'll circle back to that at the end. But people are going to make changes, and what kinds of changes they make and are allowed to make will be a topic of intense debate, both governmentally and socially. This will be like a topic of really in-depth, complex, and sometimes quite heated conversation. But at the end of it all, you're going to get to a paradigm where almost everyone can do this almost everywhere in the world. And the reason for that is that as soon as some people start doing it, the countries that are blocking it out will have the choice of either continuing to restrict their populace from ever having access to these technological tools or joining the party. So countries will ban it, some countries won't. People will take advantage of those countries where it's available. Then the countries that have banned it will have the choice of joining the party or continuing to restrict their citizens. And ultimately, people are going to vote for policies that allow them to take advantage of this kind of cool technology and not just take advantage of it by their own free investment, but with the support of the state, such that in the 50s and 60s, it's going to become quite common for states to subsidize upgrades to kids. And you're going to find words that aren't upgrade because it's just too harsh. Nobody likes to think about that fundamental sort of improvement, right? We just don't like the idea of anybody being better than anybody else in any fundamental way. And in an objective sense, that's always just going to be true. Nobody being taller does not make you better than somebody. Being smarter does not make you better than somebody. Being stronger it really just doesn't in any way make you cooler or less cool than somebody else. But people still desire these qualities for lots of reasons. We don't have to explain them. That's just human nature. So because you can and because you want to, you ultimately will do this stuff, and it will be quite widespread. And the thing that will take the edge off all this tension about what baby is better than you is the ability to change adults. So the third main paradigm is one of casual, widespread adult genetic engineering. So paradigm 1, emergency. Paradigm 2, embryonic upgrades. Paradigm 3, adult casual editing. This is cool because it makes everybody less uptight about whose baby is taller or sharper or just better looking generally, because adults can take advantage of this tech too. They can also go to Rite Aid and get an injection to make them, 180 IQ or whatever. And that makes it it just makes the whole temperature of the room go down because you can fix it later. There's less high stake fear about babies getting a permanent advantage that they can lord over everyone for the rest of their lives. Also, you open the door to being able to change this stuff at will later if you don't like how the changes go. So you can fix the problems that you inadvertently cause in the gene lines of the human race for all time. And finally, as sort of a coda, this casual adult editing is going to lead into a new wonderful world of pluripotent myriad creative applications for genetic editing, which include cool things like new skin colors and funky eye shapes and new bone structures and just like designer humans, not just for survival or skill and appeal, but like creative expression and differentiation. And that's going to mean way more diversity than exists in the early 21st century. By the early 22nd century, there are so many different kinds of humans that we start identifying as different groups entirely, like borderline different species. And that all gets multiplied by the intersection with nanotech and cybertech and robotech. And we've talked about that elsewhere and we'll continue to talk about it more. So chime in, tell us which of these things you're excited about, how you would change your body if and when you would. And if you really like us, please support us on Substack. We could use your investment to keep making more of these cool things and delivering you stuff that excites us and makes us all more hopeful for the future. Good luck. You're great the way you are. And I think you probably can be even better. I know I'll try to do that myself tomorrow. Okay, bye.